Hey, good evening, everybody. What's up? Welcome to our review of the year podcast. My name's Jason, and as always, I'm joined by the Mad Geek up north, Big A. Say what's up,
What's up, peeps?
and the Russian kid, Rich Kid, is in my side of town as well. Rich Kid, say what's up, man.
What's happening?
Cool. Well, we hope you guys had a really good Christmas break. We were planning on doing a Christmas special, but unfortunately, it just didn't happen. Sorry. But we hope you enjoyed yourselves anyway, because we sure did. I did a lot of eating and drinking. How about you lot? Did you?
Yeah, mostly.
Cool. Well, that's the way it should be anyway, man. It's about spreading joy. But you know what? We're going to spread some more joy because it's that time of the year where we are coming to the end of a specific year, in this case, 2017. And so we want to take a little while to just kind of look back at some of the highlights of the year. So what we're doing with this podcast is we're doing it in two parts. So part one, which is what you're listening to now, is our end of year review. And it will be all of the positives from the year. So the things that we really enjoyed from the movie world and from the TV world and so on. So we'll cover all of that. And yeah, when you listen to this, let us know what you thought of some of the things as well. And we'll let you know at the end of the show how you can get in touch with us and things like that as well. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, we might as well get cracking, really. What did you guys think of was the biggest news story of the year, really, from 2017 now? I mean, this is hard because you got to cast your mind back quite a way because it feels like January was ages ago now, even though really it wasn't. But, has there been anything in the news, entertainment-wise, that's come out that's really kind of, I guess, made an impact for you this year in one way or another? I guess in a positive way as well, seeing as we're talking about the best things. So yeah, was there anything good that kind of came out from the entertainment world this year for you guys? We'll start with you, Rich.
Yeah, man. Harvey got caught, bro. that was a good thing, man. I don't know, we're laughing. I know there's like people out there listening and like,
No,
I'm not laughing because it's a joke. I'm laughing and we're laughing because we're happy. Like, that fucker got caught.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it was a long time coming, it seems, as well, isn't
it? Yeah.
A long time.
I mean, there's a lot more that we can talk about how things have been handled, and it throws things up in the air. But we're not that type of show. We're not going to get too deep. But just him and the badness and the bullshit and the fuckeries that he did, that made me happy, man. That made me happy. Like, it's just I think it's a nice little eye opener. To the fuckeries that happens in Hollywood that we've always kind of noticed, but we haven't really paid attention to. Like, remember, Jay? Like, remember when we used to talk about Rose McGowan? We'd be like, "What happened to Rose McGowan, bro?" And we'd be like, "Yeah, man, she was a dead actress anyway, bro." Like, not knowing that she's kind of been blackballed. Well, I mean, allegedly blackballed and XYZ, but when you've got 150 cases, if you take away 50 of those cases, you still got 100. at least X amount of those 100 has to be true. So Harvey's guilty in my eyes from what I can gather. But yeah, I think that was the biggest thing off the top of my head that came out this year that made me happy because people were being, I mean, justice hasn't been served anything as of yet, but people were being listened to, and that's one of the things that I don't like. I don't like me myself. I don't like talking and not being listened to. So yeah. So good on those people who spoke out.
Yeah, man, I hear you. Amen to that, bro. Amen to that. Alvin, how about you, man? Was there anything big from the entertainment world that got you excited this year?
Probably the Marvel Disney thing. Disney acquiring 20th Century Fox. Just because the possibilities really as to what it could be we've not seen yet. It's not that it made me particularly that excited. It's just that other people excited by it, but we don't know how it's going to play out yet, so it'll be interesting to see as to how all that goes down. But I was expecting it not to happen, and then when I woke up and then found out it happened, I was like, well, shit, anything could happen now.
Yeah, unfortunately, listeners, we didn't get to kind of cover the story in full. We kind of talked about it in some of our previous podcasts. So if you go back and listen, I mean, when the news kind of broke that there was negotiations, we kind of talked about the story around that and the kind of things that could potentially happen. But obviously at that point it wasn't, confirmed. So we couldn't really say, yes, it's definitely happening and this is going to happen and that's going to happen. Well, yeah, I mean, as you now know by now, yeah, it has happened. I guess, boy, if you were a betting man and you'd put money on it, then you'd be quids in right about now because, it's happened. None of us believed it was going to happen, really, but it did. And as Alvin said, I guess we kind of have to wait and see what kind of develops from that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the possibilities are endless. So yeah, it's definitely one of the more exciting stories that came out from this year. So yeah, I would agree with both of you, man. I ain't really got nothing else to add. I mean, those are probably two of the biggest things, and I think you've both kind of covered the reasons why as well. So yeah, that's fair enough, man. That's fair enough. What was kind of the most enjoyable experience you had this year from kind of a pop culture point of view? It doesn't necessarily have to be like a specific movie or something like that, but just something, pop culture related that you did this year that you enjoyed. Because Rich and I have two experiences that we shared this year, which was really good, which I'll get to. But yeah, Alvin, I don't know if there's anything you did this year specifically that you enjoyed doing.
Yeah, something pop culture related that I just enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah, for me, it would have to be Star Wars Celebration. Going to Celebration again, and it being in Orlando, Florida, just great to be there and sleep on a convention floor, fucking see the trailer for The Last Jedi with fans and members of the cast, and yeah, just to have time off work and stuff like that, and just spend money, eat whatever the hell I wanted, and be in nice hot Florida weather. Like, so yeah, for me it'll be Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, definitely. That's a biggie, man. That is a biggie. Rich, I mean, for me and you, as I said, there's two that the experiences that we kind of share together that I was going to talk about. But if there's anything you want to add as well, feel free, man. Jump in.
You're gonna have to remind. Hey, listen. You know how I like to deviate, bro. You know how I like to deviate. No. I need to tell you because I was kind of quiet there. One of the worst things that scares me. I'm here. I'm sitting in your brains
trying to think. Wait, what did we do?
I was. You know what? I was racking my brains. I was like, "What the fuck's he talking about? What did me and him do together?" And then out the corner of my eye, I saw something move, and I was like, "Wait a minute!" And then I saw a daddy long legs. I was like, "Shit!" But I'm not even scared of them anyway. But it just reminded me. Not one of the scariest things ever. When you think you've killed a spider, and like see like you're in a shower or like in a bath, and you hit the spider, it's like boom, and you'd be like, "Yeah, let me clean it up when I finish bathing in it." And you go back to bath in the shower, and then you come back and the spider's gone. How much does your heart beat? That just something random, innit? Yeah. But don't tell me that doesn't scare you, bro. But that's what I just felt when I saw this daddy long legs. I was like, what's that? No, it's my imagination. And then I saw it just fucking bouncing. And that's what made me throw my train of thought. But for me, best pop culture thing that happened to me this year, I think one of them probably would have had to be seeing The Last Jedi. The British premiere in the Royal Albert Hall with a bunch of movie stars and models.
Celebrity premiere, no less, isn't it?
Yeah, celebrity premiere, and being suited up by Burberry and watching it with the royals as well and stuff like that, and sitting next to like Mark Strong and his family, and just waxing lyrical about Star Wars for a little bit. So that was pretty much of a.
Big up to Mark Strong.
Yeah. Big up to Mark Strong. Big up to his family. They're a beautiful family, and yeah, man. Like I've got nothing bad to say about them. He's a very imposing man. I went after I checked his age and I was like, motherfucker's like 52. But listen, he'd talk and I'd still sit down and listen.
That's the thing. He's got one of them voices that will just like he will command you to do some shit.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if he says do this, you're doing that. Like it's as simple as
that. He'd say something crazy like, "Hey, you boy," he'd be like, "Don't talk to me like that." He'd say, "Hey, listen, you better go jump in that fire." Can you go jump in it standard? Like,
is this enough jumping, sir? She's like, jumping.
You're not burning enough, boy. You're like, yes, sir, Mr. Strong, sir.
Yeah. He's definitely got a presence and a character about him, man, for sure. But I'm surprised he didn't mention the two things, so I'll mention them anyway. One of which was earlier this year, and again, if you've been listening to our podcast all year, then you'll know that we went to the Resident Evil virtual reality experience for the release of Resident Evil 7. And, you know, that was a really, really cool experience. It was something that was quite rare for myself and Richard to get the opportunity to go to these things, and we definitely do want to go to more. So if you're listening and you're a big game studio and you want to invite us to the launch of your console or your new game, please do. But yeah, you know, as an experience, it was really, really cool. I enjoyed it, even though I didn't really get on with the VR too tough myself. Just as an experience, it was definitely very memorable for me for this year. And then, you know, the other thing that we experienced was the Art of the Brick by Nathan Sawyer. This year there was a display, an art display at the South Bank for an artist called Nathan Sawyer, who builds a lot of sculptures out of Lego, and in particular this kind of exhibition that he'd put on was for DC Comics characters and was based around DC Comics characters. So we actually got to go down to the exhibition and visit, have a look at some of the sculptures, as said, and some of the statues that he'd built and the artworks that he'd created. And for me, you know, that was just great, just kind of sampling like kind of what can be done with Lego, because when you think of Lego, you know, for me anyway, personally, I mean, Lego fans will probably get mad if I say this, but for me personally, I kind of always think of it as a little bit kind of childish and simplistic, in a sense that it's, you know, something that you give to a bunch of kids to keep them distracted for 4 or 5 hours. But actually, you know, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what you can do, as you know, as Nathan showed with his artwork and with what he did, and seeing, you know, Batman, Superman, the Joker, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and sort of all the classic characters from the DC canon, you know, being portrayed as Lego sculptures was really kind of fun. Was really kind of cool. So yeah, that was enjoyable, man. So
you know what?
Highlights.
You know, sorry to back you. Hey, you want to know something? Where I've spent literally the whole of my summer in bed with a busted foot. I think like that feels like last year, you know?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's what, like, I remember going to it. So like when you mentioned it, I was like, motherfucker, what? Like, when? Was I there for real? No, Jay, I have to back you now. Those are pretty good experiences. The other one we went to as well, the Africa, the African cultural thing that we went to in the South Bank.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty good as well, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we did quite a few things. No, this year has been alright, man. It's been alright. Alvin, we saw you this year for MCM as well.
Yeah, but MCM wasn't all that this year in comparison to last year.
Yeah, but we got to hang out.
Yeah, we
got to hang out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I liked the summer one. The summer one I enjoyed.
Yeah, the summer one was alright.
Yeah, the winter one not so much. I'm not sure what happened with the winter one. I don't know.
It was winter, man.
Yeah, I think
it was winter.
Yeah, I think it was just winter, and it was pretty miserable that weekend as well, weather-wise. You know, I think it rained a lot, didn't it? That Saturday, and yeah, it just wasn't great. But yeah, certainly the summer one was really enjoyable. You know, there was such a nice kind of vibe there. And it's just, to me, it's just fascinating to see how this Comic-Con keeps growing. I mean, listeners were talking about the MCM Comic-Con in London, which is an event that's hosted twice a year, usually at the Excel Convention Center. And it's a big kind of convention. It's a pop culture convention, basically. So it's built around movies, comic books, anime, gaming, and all that kind of stuff is kind of showcased there. And Alvin usually comes down and joins us from Manchester, graces us with his presence. The King of the North comes down to the South and is entertained, but is always watched by 2 guards just in case he tries to do some funny shit down here. But you know, we did, yeah, we had a really good time. As said, especially the summer one, because it was hot that weekend as well. And you know, we had a lot of fun. The conventions were really great. We met a lot of really cool people that weekend as well. And that's, you know, one of the
and we cosplayed as well, man.
Oh yeah, of course we cosplayed. Yeah, how could I forget that? Yeah, we cosplayed.
Yeah, we cosplayed, man. Listen, we cosplayed hungover, bro. Remember?
yeah.
I was upset.
That was not a great experience, you know, listeners. It wasn't like we. Basically, we. You know, the convention is split over 3 days, really, Friday to Sunday. And we had gone on the Saturday, and then after the Saturday, you know, we were in a good mood. So we had a few drinks, and then we had a few more, and then we had a few more, and then we had a dance, and then we had a few more drinks. And then next thing you know, it was like 2 a.m, and we were like, oh, we're supposed to be cosplaying tomorrow, and we're supposed to meet the other cosplayers at like 10 a.m. So, yeah, as we're of a certain age now, it's like, you know, we can't really do 4 hours sleep and then get up and then go and cosplay the next day anymore. So we managed to make it there on time, but it happened that the Sunday was actually a hotter day than the Saturday was. And then on top of that, we were in full cosplay get up and outfits. And yeah, as Richard said, it was it was not fun. I mean, cosplaying's fun, but like under those circumstances, yeah, it's not.
Listen, I knew on Saturday night, I was saying to you, I was like, listen, Jay, you just say the word, man. I'll scrap this cosplay, you know. I wouldn't even do it. I wouldn't even remember I said I wouldn't even tell anybody, you know. I'll just say we were sick, but like, because I was thinking at the time, I did not say that we were like tired. Because I remember we were saying like, you know what? I could stay out all night, you know. I could stay out all night. That's what it was. And I was scared, mate. I was scared. But yeah, we cosplayed quite a few people that we've known for quite a few years now. I mean, one of them being Holly from Darkside. So it's cool. Oh, no, she didn't cosplay with us that. Yeah, she did cosplay with us that time, didn't she? Yeah.
No. Well, she didn't on that.
Yeah, no, she didn't. Yeah, not that one. She cosplayed with us the other one.
The previous year. Yeah, the previous year.
Yeah. But yeah, but it was people. But it was people that we'd met through Holly, which was cool. And I mean, like we've known for like what 2-3 years now. No.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
3 years.
And we were photographed by a great photographer and a guy who's a big comic and geek fan as well, called Joseph Leader. So anybody who wants to get any, you know, photography done or geek photography or anything like that, Jay will put it in the description as well. Just hit him up, man. He's a good guy, man. So yeah, man.
Definitely. Joe's one of the good guys in life. You know, you don't always necessarily meet many of them, but when you do come across a good guy, then hold on to those guys. So Joe, big up to yourself, man. Thank you for being such a big part of our year and for making, you know, cosplaying such a great experience, and for making us look good, obviously, as well. So yeah, no doubt, man. Shout out to Joe for sure. But yeah, man, that's been some of our big sort of stuff that we've done over 2017 that we've really enjoyed. So yeah, let us know as well what you've done, listeners. Let us know if there's been any conventions you've gone to or kind of experiences that you've had over 2017, and in particular if you've made new friends as well this year. You know, one of the things that I have always believed, and I know Richard, you know, shares this belief as well, is that one of the great things about sort of pop culture and geek culture, you know, whatever you want to call it, is the ability it has to kind of cross divides and bring people together, and create, you know, new friendships, and that's always a beautiful thing to me. So, you know, if there's anybody who has become a friend of yours because you found a shared interest in something, then, you know, that's something to celebrate. So yeah, let us know how that's going for you, and cherish that as well if you've got it, because it's a beautiful thing, man. But let's move on. We've done enough waffling. Let's move on. So we're going to get down to the meat of today's podcast. So as said, this first part that we're doing here is going to be a review of the best things of 2017. So we're going to start off with movies. And guys, what we'll do is we'll give our top 5 movies of the year. You don't have to come up with 5 necessarily if you can't really think of 5, but 5 is just a kind of nice arbitrary number. And then what we'll do is we'll decide which one of the ones that we've chosen actually deserves to go into the Hall of Fame for the year. So without further ado, will be our top movies of the year. So who wants to lead off? Rich, you want to go first?
No, you said Alvin. What?
Waste, man.
Huh?
All right. Alf, are you good to standing? Because the Rusty Kid is flopping. So yeah.
So my first one.
I'm rustling, innit? I'm rustling.
He's rustling.
You go through all 5.
If you want, yeah, you could, and they don't have to be in any order specifically, just the ones that you enjoyed.
Really. Okay. So we're going Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Coming, Baby Driver, John Wick Chapter 2, and Logan.
Cool. You know, I completely forgot about John Wick Chapter 2. I'm just.
You know what? The only reason why I remember it because
I completely forgot I watched that movie this year. You know.
Yeah. But it was ages. It was almost a year ago, Jason. Of course, you almost forgot.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, those are my 5.
Okay, cool. And Rich, do you want me to waffle through mine quickly?
No. I can go.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Okay, so like we said before, in no particular order. Thor Ragnarok, I loved. John Wick Chapter 2. I really, really enjoyed. There's another film called Patty Cakes, which is an independent film, which really tugged at my heartstrings. It was just nice to see an independent film that's not even dealing with anything different, but just felt different to a lot of the stuff that's out there. Because I think like we're kind of getting oversaturated with certain genres now. And there was another one as well. Oh yeah, Ghost in a Shell, which I saw, which is not like I won't say that it's an amazing film or that is a good film, but it essentially it is. The good things about it allow me to watch the film pleasure and not be like, and so when people talk bad about it, I'd be like, yeah, man, I'm fully aware that this is not good about the film, but this is what I enjoy about it, and I don't mind watching it. So yeah, so those were my films that I really enjoyed. Well, those were my films of this year that I enjoyed watching.
Cool. Fair enough. Was there any honorable mentions that didn't quite make you lot's top 5?
Blade Runner 2049.
Blade Runner.
I need to see that still.
Yeah. I haven't actually seen that yet.
Right.
Which is bad because I was getting hyped about it, and then for some reason it just completely bypassed me. I don't know why, but yeah. Sorry, you were saying Blade Runner 2049, yeah?
Yeah. Just I mean, some people obviously saw the trailer and thought it was going to be action. Well, the Warner Brothers for some reason made the same mistake that was made in the 80s. Is that they made the trailer look like action, but it's not an action movie. It's slower than that. It's more than that. It's like long shots of things that look really beautiful. And if you go in knowing that's what it's going to be, then you probably end up enjoying it. But if you go in thinking it's action, then you're going to be disappointed and you're going to think it's shit. But I thought it was dope. I thought it was really good and really clever is what they did with the story, man. So yeah, I was even considering putting it on my actual list, but no, it's honorable mentions, unfortunately.
Cool. Fair enough. Rich, was there any that didn't quite make the top 5, but you still enjoyed?
There was a Netflix movie called The Babysitter, which I enjoyed, which was just nonsense.
Oh, I've heard of that. Is it the one with Oh no, I'm thinking of something else. Sorry, remind me the Babysitter.
Oh, well, basically, it's about the little kid who's been babysat by his babysitter who he's got a crush on, but they're like really good friends. And one night she's babysitting him, and he finds out that she's actually going to sacrifice him to the devil or the demon to basically get to get her wish. But she's doing a sacrifice with like 5 other people, and it's basically about him just escaping from each one of them one by one, and just becoming like a man, because he's still a kid, but he's in that point of adolescence where he's still getting picked on, he's still very much like a baby, and he's just about to discover girls and things like that. And it just felt like a really cliched 80s horror type of adventure movie where, you know, it's those films that it would have been like a 15 and we would have been like 10 or 11 and we would have watched on BBC One knowing full well we weren't allowed to watch it. But somehow we could have identified with like the character. You know, like when you watch The Lost Boys and you see the Frog Brothers and everyone's gearing up and getting the holy water and it's like a fucking 18 film and you're just like, you know what, I could live this life. That's what The Babysitter reminded me of. It was really quite enjoyable.
Okay.
I did mention it to a few other people and some people didn't like it and some people did. So it's got a bit of a divided reviews amongst people. But yeah, that's definitely an honorable mention for myself.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. Well, I kind of, when I sat down to do these the lists and the movies of things that I've seen and things that I've enjoyed and things that I didn't, I realized I've seen like a shit ton of movies this year. I've seen a lot. And it does feel to me that this year has been a better year for movies in general, because the good kind of far outweighs the bad for me. As I said, there's just a lot of movies that I saw this year. The honorable mentions, it was tricky, but there's a couple that I do really, really like, but I had to kind of leave them out. So there was Lego Batman.
Oh God, yeah,
I enjoyed a lot this year. Yeah, really enjoyed Lego Batman. Really fun, really engaging. The voice work in it's excellent as well. Yeah, just really, really good Lego Batman. So yeah, that was one that didn't quite make the top 5, but I definitely enjoyed. What else was there? Fences, I saw this year. I mean, I know technically it came out last year in the US. It came out in 2016, but we didn't get it till 2017 over here. I enjoyed Fences a lot. I wasn't expecting to, because it's a movie based on a play, and movies based on plays tend to be very kind of staid. But you know what kind of Denzel Washington does in that role and how he kind of carries that role is just stupendous. You know, if you ever want to see like the perfect crotchety old man, there's usually like kind of 2 actors you can go to. You can either go to Samuel Jackson or you can go to Denzel, and you know, Denzel crushes this, man. He absolutely does. And Viola Davis in the supporting role is excellent as well. So yeah, that was definitely a good movie. They definitely carried it for me. What else did I see this year? There was Trainspotting 2, which came out this year as well, which again I really enjoyed. I thought was, part of me went into Trainspotting 2 thinking it's going to be terrible. There's just no way it can live up to the first movie. But it doesn't try to. It actually tries to do something different. It kind of shows you that these characters have grown up. Well, not all of them have, really. Well, none of them have, actually, when you watch the movie. Not to spoil it for anybody who hasn't. But it kind of, you know, is a beautiful kind of story about time and how time changes some people but doesn't change others, and how you can feel time is just slipping away from you within your life. So yeah, Trainspotting 2 was really surprised me for how well it kind of stood up on its own 2 feet. The Disaster Artist I saw this year as well, which was really funny, really enjoyable. I think for me it was probably borderline the funniest film of the year. It was it's tie-in with one of the top 5, but yeah, really funny. If you haven't seen The Room, which is what The Disaster Artist is based on, don't worry, you don't need to have seen The Room to get The Disaster Artist. Which is what makes it so good, really. It's not reliant on The Room and on the audience knowing what The Room is about. You can still pick up, you know, what the movie is trying to say. Great performance by James Franco as Tommy Wiseau as well, just brilliant. So yeah, that was a great movie. And John Wick 2 was one that didn't quite make my top 5, but I enjoyed it. Definitely, you know, the way they keep expanding that universe and keep building that universe, and you know, the way they keep kind of fleshing it out is making it more and more interesting to me. You know, the action is top notch, as you would expect from the guys who did the first movie. And yeah, it was a big plus point. So that was great. So the 5 movies that I managed to settle on. Oh no, there's a couple other honorable mentions. I won't bore you with details about them. Honorable mentions also go to Logan. Logan, I really enjoyed, apart from 1 or 2 things that really kind of irritated me. But aside from that, I really enjoyed Logan. It was a very good movie, and it was a way of them trying to do something a little bit different with the comic book genre. And it kind of shows how the comic book genre can survive going forward, which is something that you've mentioned in the past, Richard, which is, you know, trying to create different types of movies within the genre, and, you know, using different templates for your movies, you know, using heist movies, or in the case of Logan, a Western, you know, and kind of building on the mythos of that, but then fitting your, you know, your comic book characters around that is definitely the way forward, and the way that comic book movies will survive in the future. So yeah, Logan was really impressive. Really enjoyed Logan. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 didn't quite make my list as well, because again, I had a couple of issues with it, but nonetheless, it was still a hugely enjoyable movie. You know, the Guardians franchise just rolls on and on and on, and there's really no stopping it unless, you know, James Gunn leaves. I can't see how that is gonna dip in any way, although everybody's capable of dropping a bollock every now and again. But you know, I don't think he will with these characters. I think he knows what he's doing, and he's still able to tell good stories on the whole. So yeah, enjoyed that. So the top 5 for me were boy, this was so hard. This is way harder than I thought it was going to be. So for Ragnarok, as much as I had some issue with Hela in there, and the way that the character was used, overall, I thought it was a real shot in the arm for Thor. A real shot in the arm, because Thor was a character that I'd kind of gotten a little bit bored of. But Taika Waititi has just kind of completely reinvigorated that character, and his world as well. There's some really great storytelling in there. There's some fantastic characters. You know, I really hope we get to see some more of the likes of Valkyrie and the Grandmaster, because they were terrific. So I hope we get some more. You know, there was Hulk, and the use of Hulk was brilliant in this movie. You know, the humor was excellent. I mean, this is probably what just pipped the Disaster Artist for me as the funniest film I'd seen this year. I generally laughed out loud, like ridiculously laughed out loud in the cinema on many occasions during that film. You know, and Chris Hemsworth's comedic timing is just brilliant. It just really is. It's one of those strengths that he's got that was kind of a bit underused at times. But in this movie, they've really capitalized on it, and you know, he's absolutely shone. So Thor Ragnarok definitely made the top 5 for me. Number 4 was Get Out. Get Out for me was a movie that I did not see coming in terms of the quality of it. It has like some of the best acted scenes I've seen in years. I mean, hopefully listeners, you've all seen this, so you're not getting, you know, spoiled for anything here. But you know, the scene between Daniel Kaluuya's character and Catherine Keener's character, where she's hypnotizing him and then sending him to the sunken place, like the acting in that scene is just stupendous. Like it's blows your mind as to how good both of them were in that scene. You know, that's the kind of acting you could teach in an acting school or something. You know, it just was amazing, absolutely amazing. And the movie's just really, really fresh as well. It takes something that feels quite familiar and yet gives it a slight spin, and has a lot to say in the meantime about kind of racism in America, and power, and how these things are used, and then throws in some body horror as well. And it does it all, you know, perfectly. It doesn't feel forced in any way. Everything feels natural and feels like it's logical. So yeah, Get Out was an outstanding movie. So that was number 4. Number 3 was a little movie that I think a few people probably haven't seen, but I did a review for not too long ago, which is a movie called Mudbound. Really, really, I mean, I love my kind of slow-paced dramas. As much as I love action movies and I love things that are fast-paced, I do love a slow burn drama if it's done right. And Mudbound is a perfect example of how to do that right. And how to juggle multiple characters' stories at once, but weave them together seamlessly. You know, again, the acting in that was superb. The directing is superb. Visually, it does a few interesting things as well. And you know, it was good to see Garrett Hedlund back as well. You know, he's a talent, and it's great to see him kind of get to flex his kind of acting chops and really kind of stretch his muscles a bit again. You know, but everybody has said in that movie was just excellent. So I mean, go back and listen to my review if you want to get more details on that, listeners. So that was number 3. Where am I at? Number 2. Number 2 was Blade of the Immortal, a film I did not see coming at all. Like, I really did not see Blade of the Immortal coming. It's a Japanese movie. It's an adaptation of a popular anime and manga series. Again, I've done a separate review for this, so you can have a listen to my review if you want to get like sort of more in-depth thoughts on what I felt about it. But yeah, really fantastic work. You know, it's the 100th film from Takashi Miike, the Japanese director who directed it, and who's just a legend of cinema now by this stage. You know, he's the guy who did Ichi the Killer and Audition, and you know, he's done some really kind of dark, twisted films, but incredibly he's also done, like, I think directed over 10 family movies and even done 2 kids movies as well. So you know, it shows you kind of his talent and his ability to kind of adapt to different properties and to different kind of ideas within movies as well. And Blade of the Immortal, there's just so much going on in that movie, but all handled with real skill and real flair visually. And it's very exciting, and the action's top notch as well, as you'd expect. So yeah, really, really good movie. Really enjoyed Blade of the Immortal. And finally would be my number 1. I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite movie of the year, but definitely I can't go without mentioning it. Spider-Man: Homecoming. For me, it was, you know, as somebody who was quite a big Spider-Man fan growing up as a kid, it was kind of everything that I wanted in a Spider-Man movie. It captured all of the elements of that made Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies great, but also gave it a modern twist and a modern context, to the point where it felt like you were kind of reading a Lee and Ditko Spider-Man comic from back in the 60s, but if it would happen to be set in 2017. You know, so there was loads of callbacks to the comic, but also it was just a very kind of human story and a very simple story about this kid, you know, trying to deal with being a typical teenager and dealing with, you know, all this power that he's got, and how does he deal with that, and how does he deal with, you know, his relationships with his family and with his peers. And it's just handled brilliantly. You know, the acting in it's superb as well. So yeah, that was definitely one that goes on the list. And one more honorable mention that I forgot to mention as well, which I absolutely adored, but just didn't quite make the top 5 for me, and that's It. It was really, really good, really good movie. Just as a movie on its own, it's fantastic. But also, you know, it's very respectful of the genre, and it's very respectful of Stephen King's original work, but it's not afraid to kind of take a few risks and change a few things. And, you know, some of those changes don't quite work for me personally, but nonetheless, it doesn't distract from the overall quality of the film. And Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise is brilliant. I mean, you can never really kind of, you know, compare to Tim Curry, because Tim Curry's kind of in his own wheelhouse and in his own world in terms of what he does with Pennywise. But Bill Skarsgård, man, he's fantastic. So yeah, those are my choices, man. So sorry about that. Sorry if I rambled a little bit, but as I said, I did manage to see a lot this year, so there was a lot to go through. So guys, what would you want to put in as a movie that definitely you want in our Hall of Fame for this year, as a kind of a real standout above all others, I guess. Alva, I'll come to you first.
Shit. Fucking hell. I'm trying to think. No, you're gonna have to come back to me.
Fair dues. Okay, fair dues. I've got the feeling we're gonna have to probably put 5 in rather than 3, so sod it, we'll do that. Rich, is there anything that from what you saw that you really want to kind of see in there?
What, the Hall of Fame? And what, we can, how many can we choose? Just one? More than one?
Well, I'll say let's put in 5. So of all the movies that we've discussed so far, we can probably, if we can pick out 5.
Okay, okay, I'll choose 2. So one will be one that was on my list, and one, like I said, where my this year's just been sort of up, and yeah, this film that I've watched this year that I've even forgotten I watched this year, and I thought I maybe watched them last year. So still Ragnarok, I'll definitely put up there. It was a nice breath of fresh air to, like we said, like a very stale character, which was meant to be one of the main 3 characters of the MCU, but was just boring. And to be honest, could have been replaced by a different actor at any point, and I wouldn't have minded.
Yeah.
But it generally just stepped in a different direction, in how that genre and the character itself was handled. And literally all the money it's made and all the good reviews that it's got, it's generally deserved them. And so yeah, I definitely put that in a Hall of Fame, just because as much as I love these superhero films coming out, you know, I'm not ever going to say that there's too many, but you know, just between me and you and whoever's listening, there are kind of too many, like, and it does feel a bit stale sometimes. But that's another discussion. Still Ragnarok for definite. And yeah, thank you very much, Jason, for even reminding us or reminding me about Get Out. You have to go up in there as well for me. Just for the simple fact of like the voice that it was speaking. I mean, like, it couldn't have come at a better time for the stuff that it was talking about. And not just that, but for the simple fact that Jordan Peele, who wrote and directed it, before this film had been released, he'd actually been getting quite a bit of backlash from quite a few famous Black entertainers in whatever capacity they are in the entertainment business, whether they be producers, writers, or comedians. And they had some pretty nasty stuff to say about him. And then he came out with this film, and I was watching an interview yesterday with a comedian called Ari Spears, who generally had to take a step back and be like, you know what, I fucked up. Because he actually went to go for a role in the TV show that Jordan Peele's producing. And Ari Spears said that he saw that it was, you know, Jordan Peele that was producing it, and he had to go and do an interview, an audition for him. And Peele handled it like a professional. But it's one of those things where the stuff that Jordan Peele did say originally, it did kind of ring true. But in hindsight, it feels as almost if Jordan Peele has played the system very well and released a film which has basically said a lot and showed a lot. People who are either scared to say what they're thinking and feeling, or too afraid to see the truth what's in front of them. So so Get Out is literally such a good social film. So yeah, I'll pick those 2. So you guys can between the 2 of you if you want to keep both of them or exchange with them for something else.
No, not at all, man. Beautifully put on both cases, and definitely both worthy additions. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So yeah, we've got Thor Ragnarok and Get Out. Alf, pressure's off you, bro. You only need to come up with one. I'll do the other 2.
Okay.
See how quick you are.
All right, we'll go Homecoming because they managed to make Spider-Man fresh again, which was a surprise and was really nice. But even though you said, I'll say a second one anyway, just John Wick Chapter 2, man, because they could have just fell into the trap of doing it bigger and better, but instead they just decided to kind of take what they had before, just add more to it. Like, you had the knife fights and all that, you had kind of like switching between like shotgun, pistol, and machine gun and all that kind of stuff, and just the whole kind of ballet of chaos was just so much more, but without sacrificing kind of the rhythm like of the action scenes and all that kind of stuff. Didn't sacrifice any of that stuff. They kept it and elaborated on that. Whereas if it was another franchise, a different film, you know how some of these films just fuck up and they just go, oh, that's how that means. Whereas these guys, they kept it the same but different, and also added to the mythos of John Wick and the whole kind of like criminal underworld and all that. So yeah, that John Wick as well, John Wick 2.
Cool. All right. Well, for the sake of balance, then I'll go with Mudbound, simply because we've got like quite a few big budget Hollywood movies on here, and Get Out would cover us for the horror. So for the drama, I'll recommend Mudbound joins the Hall of Fame. So listeners, our 5 films of the year are Thor Ragnarok, Get Out, Spider-Man Homecoming, John Wick Chapter 2, and Mudbound. So if you haven't seen any of those, I strongly suggest you go out and see them because they are all fantastic. And as said, that was really hard because there's so many movies that I wish I could have added in here because you know, as said, I really do feel like this has been a good year for movies. Definitely a lot stronger than last year. Last year, it felt like it was just, you know, crap after crap after crap. But this year, you know, we've really had some quality stuff, and we've had, you know, as our top 5 shows you, we've had a nice balance between, you know, some high quality blockbuster movies and some high quality, you know, lower budget movies as well, with some more original ideas floating around. So yeah, it's been a good year, man. Good year. All right, let's move on then. So let's do TV. So TV has had another bumper year as well. It's been a really, really good year for television. I don't feel like I've seen as much TV though this year. I think I've probably been watching more movies than TV, so this should probably be easier for me. But yeah, let's go with our standouts from TV. So again, 5 each, boys, if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it, because I said I perfectly understand if you can't come up with 5 each, because as I said, I don't know about both of you, but I feel like I've actually watched more movies than TV this year, so it may be tricky to come up with 5 original TV shows. Yeah, in fact, you know what? Let's scrap the original TV shows. Let's do second and third seasons as well, just to make it easier. But yeah, who wants to start, Rich or Alvin?
I'll start.
Yeah, go for it, Al.
Yeah, so you got Game of Thrones, obviously, because it's Game of Thrones. Although there were some hiccups in there in this season, especially with timelines in regards to how long it takes to travel from A place to B place and some shit like that. But other than that, I thought it was still a pretty solid season. I didn't think it was terrible or anything like that, whereas some people seem to hate it. But I'm still in, to be honest. I still give a shit. I still care. So Game of Thrones. Stranger Things Season 2 was, apart from that one dud episode, which was episode 7, which is actually still an episode I enjoyed. I just fucking loved it. I cannot wait for it to come back, because it's just it's just so great. It's just so good. You can tell by the amount I'm swearing. I've cheated a little bit as well here, but you'll see why. Voltron, Legendary Defender on Netflix. Like, Koreans can animate. Like, you like, don't underestimate Korea when it comes to animation, because they're actually pretty good. Attack on Titan Season 2. Phenomenal. Like, literally, it reminds me of watching Lost, and like how they reveal things and you go, what the fuck? How did I not know that the whole time? And stuff like that. And my favorite moment, like in the last 2 episodes with Commander Erwin, was fucking wicked. And then also we got Boku no Hero Academia as well, which is another Japanese animated show, which just goes from strength to strength, and it's coming back I think around April 2018. And yeah, it's just a wicked kind of like superhero story, but from kind of like a Japanese perspective with American influence. And yeah, it's just a nice, fun, crazy off the wall anime show with great action sequences and a whole boatload of characters. It's like watching G.I. Joe. Everyone's got their favorite in it, you know what I mean? So yeah, that show as well.
Cool. Fair enough. Rich, you want to add your 5?
Yeah. So one of them would have been the one that Alvin said. So Voltron. Season, it was season 3, right? That
I think it
came
was
out
the third
last.
season. We
I think it
got
was
this
3
year.
and 4, but it was split into two
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Is a show that just hasn't slowed down, or it just seems to get better with each season. So yeah, so I was really loving that. They did quite a few changes, which shocked me, because I don't know. Like I said, it's an animation, so sometimes you're kind of thinking like, who are they kind of aiming it at? Are they really going to follow through in some of the ideas that you think might happen? And they totally they didn't disappoint. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. Stranger Things season 2. To be honest, I'm sure that's going to be on everybody's list. And if somebody else, let's say Jason, you next, if you don't say that, you're probably just not going to say it because me and Arvin have said it. But once again, it's just another show that just knows what they're doing right and continues to do it, and but yet is just doing it bigger and better. Like you said, I think the only episode that really kind of bored me was that episode 7. And if you think about it, that's 2 seasons that they've done, and only 1 episode has been a dud. So I can't wait for season 3 to come out either, man. Just really can't wait. It reminds me of my childhood. The whole thing of it being based around the whole Ghostbusters era, and the Gremlins little put in there as well. Yeah, fucking loved it. So that was Voltron and Stranger Things 2. I know it's been going on for a little while, but I caught a couple of episodes of I don't even know, I think it was like season 2 or something like that. And I'm totally pissed off that I didn't watch it when it first came out. And then I realized that when it did first come out, I tried to watch it and I found it quite boring. And then really, I don't know, maybe I grew up in between each season or something like that. But I'm totally into it now, and I'm really impressed with the cast that they have, and just the acting. Cillian Murphy is someone that I think has always been a good actor, but for some reason just hasn't been given that maybe not say that you have to go to Hollywood to be that superstar, but he never really seems to be given that break, to flex his acting muscles. Like I really like that show, and I'm going to catch up on that. And then obviously Game of Thrones, the season that's just gone. I loved it just because it had been duds, and for the first time in a long time, it now feels like the story is actually heading to a place where shit's about to go down. And so I'm just happy that I've invested time after all these years, and now it's finally come to fruition. Also, and this is like a totally random one for me, and it's the same way how I caught Peaky Blinders. I literally just watched Into the Room, and the other half was watching it, and it was Netflix The Crown, which is basically based on the young adult life of Queen Elizabeth. And it's just a fucking well-acted show, man. I can't even knock it, man. Matt Smith as Prince Philip. I'm like every episode I watch and he comes on screen, I just keep him waiting for Prince Philip to come on and start saying some racist shit. I want to see how real they're gonna but it deals with it doesn't really pull any punches. Some stuff that that you might have read about, but it shows very much the royal family as what they are, like a family where they fuck up and they make mistakes and they have arguments and stuff like that, and it's well acted, well directed, and I can't fault it. And so that's another show that I'm actually going to catch up on, and I hope that the seasons actually go on for quite some time and they start touching upon other decades. And it'd be interesting to see. So yeah, the Crown. So that would be my list of TV shows that I would have watched this year that really piqued my interest.
Cool. Okay, doke. Well, yeah. I mean, unsurprisingly, we're probably going to have a few of the same thing on here. For me, I've got a couple of honorable mentions as well. The things that kind of really stood out, though, my top 5. My top 5 would probably be Stranger Things season 2. Not going to go into it again because you two have both talked about the reasons why, and my reasons are pretty much exactly the same as yours. So, that was phenomenal. Really enjoyed that. Attack on Titan season 2. I mean, again, Alvin kind of explained why. If you guys are anime fans listening to this and you don't watch Attack on Titan, what's wrong with you? That's all I have to say. Like, what is wrong with you? What is it you're waiting for? Because that's one of the best anime series I've seen in a long time. So get on that train. What else do I have? I have American Gods, which I really love. I adore that show. You know, I enjoyed everything they did with that from a visual point of view. It's, you know, the show, well, he's no longer the showrunner, but Brian Fuller, who was show running it, I'm a big fan of his. I loved what he did with Hannibal, and how he completely reinvented that character and made that character fresher and that universe fresher. With American Gods, he's really done a stupendous job of adapting Neil Gaiman's work and bringing that to the screen in a coherent way that an audience can follow. And not to say that Neil Gaiman's work isn't coherent, but you know, he's done so in a visual language, really. And it's just like some of the most gorgeous like scenes I've seen, like even with Game of Thrones. Like, you know, Game of Thrones usually has some fantastic cinematography, but like some of the shots they pull off in, you know, American Gods are just unbelievable. You can't believe it's a TV show, really. And yeah, I love that mythology. I love all the characters. So yeah, bring on season 2. Although, as said, Brian Fuller won't be involved, which is a bit of a disappointment. But
why is he not involved?
He's left the project. I don't know why.
Right.
I was trying to find out why, but yeah, it was just kind of quietly announced that he's leaving, and that he's now left. So they've had to go and find another showrunner. So what the future holds for that, I don't know. But I hope that, you know, whoever comes in is able to kind of build on what the foundations they've laid there, because he's really done some amazing work with that. What else was there this year? There was, I want to give some props to 2 BBC shows if I can. One of which is called Undercover, which stars Adrian Lester and Sophie Okonedo. It was really good, really good. Like, the BBC has done some sterling work this year, and that was an outstanding show. Without kind of giving too much away, it's you know, the name kind of tells you a little bit, in the sense that Adrian Lester's character was once an undercover agent. And, you know, whilst he was undercover, there were certain things that he did that kind of compromised his cover. And there's certain things that he kind of did in his past that he thought he'd let go of and he'd thought were behind him. But, you know, as can happen, the past comes back to haunt him. And it drags his family life into it. And, you know, it's a really complex, but complex in a good way, story to follow, you know, and complex in terms of the characters as well. Again, the acting's top notch from both of them in it, and it was really enjoyable. And the other BBC show is Taboo. Taboo was a show I did not expect to enjoy. I remember when I saw the trailer and I was like, it just looks like it's Tom Hardy grunting and groaning. But actually I sat down and I watched it, and yeah, fantastic, man. Just production values were brilliant, acting brilliant, script brilliant, just everything was just fantastic. You know, and it's a really evocative and mysterious kind of story. There's a lot of mysticism and you know, and a lot of kind of religious iconography used, as well as kind of tied up in kind of England's past in the slave trade and kind of you know, how that plays into it. And plus there's a touch on sort of a Native American culture as well, because his character spends time in America. Yeah, a really good show, so bravo to the BBC really for producing 2 outstanding shows this year. So yeah, that's it. And then the honorable mentions, I guess, would be The Punisher, which was enjoyable for me. I did enjoy The Punisher. It's a slow burn, definitely, but I think for the type of character he is, it needed to be a slow burn. And they really do justice to Frank Castle and to Frank Castle's kind of struggles. You you know, dealing with what he's dealt with. And in spite of the violence in it, I think it still manages to tell a very human story at its heartbeat, which is, you know, usually what the better Punisher comic books do is they're able to tell, pardon me, a human story within, you know, this world of sort of violence and pain, and the TV show captures that perfectly, I think. So big up to the Punisher. Mindhunter was really good as well. I mean, I love me some true crime stuff and stuff based on true crime, so that was right up my alley. The acting's really good. The script is really good. You know, the guy who plays Ed Kemper, the serial killer, is just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, really enthralling and entertaining. So that's definitely an honorable mention. And the Get Down Part 2. The Get Down Part 2 I really enjoyed as well. So yeah, that definitely goes on the honorable mention list as well. All right, so what do you think, boys, in terms of like picking 5 out of all of that we've done there? Is there any one that you feel particularly strongly about that you would like to see definitely go on the Hall of Fame for this year? Rich, do you want to start?
Yeah, you keep on cutting out on my end. Hopefully, it's just my. It's
I think it's
something
just
that's happening with
everything
me.
you said.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. That's all right then. As long as you guys can hear me, fine. That's all right then. The Get Down Part 2. Listen, you know how much I love that. You know, I've been killing that soundtrack. You know, for since the series came out. The Crown was, like I said, it caught me off guard, man. Same thing for Peaky Blinders. But I think I'm gonna have to take your choice and go with what's it called? American Gods, man. It was just a work of art, man. It's just something fucking beautiful that was done for TV, man. Like they raised the bar.
Yeah.
Like you just mentioned that Brian Fuller's leaving. Now my heart's beating. Like it's generally beaten, because I think whoever steps into his shoes, they're big shoes to fill, man. Like, you know, like he did, like you said, he took done by somebody already and made it another great piece of work. That's not easy to do, man.
No, not at all.
So I mean, yeah, let's put that in the Hall of Fame, because come by this time next year, we might be doing fucking American Gods season 2 as like one of the worst TV shows that we ever watched. So I'm going to pick American Gods and put it as a HOF.
Cool.
And well, my choice anyway.
Cool. Well, I'm happy to go with The Crown, even though I've never seen it. Everybody who I know who speaks of it says nothing but great things about it. So yeah, I'm happy to go with The Crown. So we can have American Gods and The Crown. Alv, is there anyone you're particularly partial to that you definitely want to see in there?
Well, Stranger Things is already in, isn't it?
Oh no, I haven't added that, but yeah, Stranger Things will definitely go in. Yeah,
okay,
sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to throw Attack on Titan, just because fucking when was the first season? Was what, 2013?
Yeah,
we had to wait for fucking. I was still in my 20s when the first season came out. You know what I mean? It was such a long wait. I wish it had come sooner. But what happened was so good that yeah, I totally dig it, and yeah, like I'd like to see it in there.
Cool. Attack on Titan's in there. So we need one more. Let me see.
Well, can anybody choose this one?
Yeah, if you've got one you want to definitely go with, then yeah, sure.
I'll put Peaky Blinders up there, you know.
Peaky Blinders. All right, cool.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean,
yeah,
to be
man,
honest,
fucking Peaky Blinders, mate. Fuck with us, fucking catch ya. I wear flat caps and a fucking waistcoat. I'll fucking catch ya. Yeah, man, I'm happy with that, man.
To be honest, I mean, as said, it's just like with movies. I feel like it's been like a ridiculously strong year for TV as well. So any one of those choices that we've given, you know, arguably deserve a place in the Hall of Fame, because they've all been outstanding. I mean, No Hero Academia, I completely forgot to mention that, Alvin. Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up, because yeah, that was really good as well. Really, really good. That surprised me how good it was. So yeah, I mean, everything that we've mentioned. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Everything that we've mentioned there is, it deserves a place. So, all right, our Hall of Fame for TV for the best of 2017. So we have American Gods season 1, The Crown, Stranger Things season 2, Attack on Titan season 2, and Peaky Blinders season 3. So, listeners, if you haven't seen any of those, again, we urge you to go and check those out. They are really, really good, really high quality stuff, especially if you're like us and you like to binge. Of course, you're like us. That's why you're listening to us. But definitely go and check those out because they're worth a watch. And again, I've got to pat you boys on the back as well, because what I love about our list is we usually have quite a diverse cross section of stuff. It's never too top heavy on one thing or another, both with the movies and now with the TV shows as well. So yeah, top work, gents. Top work. Thank you. All right. Now we were going to talk about comics and sort of top 5 comics of the year, but to be honest with you, listeners, I've really not read much comics at all in 2017. I don't know why, don't know how, but I just haven't. And both Alvin and Richard have some quite strong thoughts about comics in general this year. So I think what we'll do is we'll save the bulk of that discussion for part 2. When we discuss the worst of 2017. But just in case there were any titles that either of you wanted to throw out as outstanding sort of comic books that you read this year, Alvin and Rich, was there anything at all that you wanted to kind of add?
Yeah, well, I'll just mention the 5, like Super Sons, Mr. Miracle, Doomsday Clock, Nightwing The New Order, and Batman White Knight. And if you're smart, you'll notice that all of those books were DC, which actually says a lot about Marvel.
Rich, did you want to add any?
Yeah, I mean, my main 2 ones were, well, for this year, like I said, my year's been a bit funny. So I'm looking at things going, did I read that this year or did I read it last year? But Guardians of the Galaxy, I really, really enjoyed. And the Ultimates 2, I really, really enjoyed. And I just enjoyed both of those series just for the simple fact that Marvel has been missing the cosmic side of its, of its brand for like a good few years. And it just brought it back, and it just missed it. It just reminded me of like really, really good Fantastic Four issues, or even like when Walter Simonson was writing Thor in the 80s and the 90s, and just running wild with the cosmic side of the universe. And it was just really, really well written. Yeah, just those 2, to be honest. I mean, like I said, we're going to touch upon some stuff when we talk about the worst of the comic books that came out. And yeah, just those 2. So if anybody has a chance to pick any comics, go pick up the Ultimates and go pick up the latest one of Guardians of the Galaxy, which actually ends after this last issue. If that's what Alvin was telling me. So yeah.
Cool. Alvin, sorry, what was the name of that last one? Was it Dark?
Batman White Knight.
Batman White Knight. Sorry,
yeah,
that's it.
By Sean Gordon Murphy.
Yeah, Batman White Knight. Okay, cool. So listeners, you've got a couple of comic book recommendations there as well. So if you haven't read any of those, then go and check them out and see what you think. And lastly, I guess, well, yeah, I put this down, but again, I played nothing new, but yeah, I'd put down for games of the year, but to be honest, I don't think any of us here have really played any new games that have been released this year. We're too busy adulting for that, unfortunately. But we can at least share some of the positive gaming experiences for the year. So, Rich, I mean, I know you've really been enjoying kind of playing Destiny online, and you've mentioned it before on the podcast and things like that. What is it about Destiny that you've kind of enjoyed so much this year?
So was that to me? Yeah, because you guys are you're still cutting out. Was that to me?
Are you still having trouble hearing us?
Yeah.
Oh, that's odd. Are you hearing me?
So,
okay,
yeah.
Alvin?
No, like I said, as long as you can hear me, then that's all right.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, gaming wise, Yeah, I'm still killing Destiny, man. Like I've been playing it with my brother online and a couple of other friends, and we're tempted to go and grab Destiny 2, but we've kind of found out that Destiny 2 started off really, really well, and then it's kind of like made some really poor as to how you can now play the game. So we're kind of held off for it. So yeah, Destiny 1, I'm still killing. I recently got the newest Uncharted game, which is I think Uncharted Lost Legacy, and that's not too bad. I've got about I think like into like the third or fourth mission. I need to sit down and just concentrate on the story again, and then see how I feel about it. But that's a game that I've been playing, and I'm trying to think if there was another game that was kind of demos for the Telltale games.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Batman one, and they're not too bad. So I'm actually considering picking them up at some point as well, just to carry on because they're quite entertaining.
Yeah, I've picked up Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, I got it as a Christmas gift, and it's not too bad. I've been enjoying it so far. So yeah, that's all right, and it definitely makes me want to play the Batman ones because I do play Telltale games. I played all the Walking Dead titles, and the Walking Dead titles are really good. But I haven't played the Batman ones yet, so I do want to get around to playing those as well. Alf, anything you wanted to add?
No, because I mean, there's been a lot of good games come out this year, but I've not had really a chance to buy that many new good games, and the games that I did buy turned out to kind of be mediocre, so they're actually on my worst list. So you'll find out about them in part 2.
Cool. Fair enough. All right, listeners. Well, thanks a lot for joining us on the ride, and thank you for joining us in 2017 as well. As I said, this has been like a really fun year for us here. And what's amazing is the way that we've kind of grown as a podcast over the last 12 months as well. We are getting a lot more listeners and a lot more plays, and a lot of those plays are coming from all over the world as well, which is just blowing my mind, man. It really is. So yeah, thank you for listening to us, and thank you for sharing us with your friends, and thank you for being around with us and interacting with us on social media as well. So with that, I wanted to do a couple of big ups as well. I wanted to big up a few people who have really been kind of consistent throughout the year with kind of being involved and kind of helping us and kind of encouraging us and giving advice and all sorts of things. So I wanted to say a real big up and a thank you to the Man Brain podcast, Jay Del Negro from his podcast as well. I forgot the name of it now. It's just completely escaped my head. But Jay, big up to yourself, man, because he's always encouraged us. Just in Time podcast as well. Shout out to the #Blackout podcast as well. It's Whatever podcast. The guys from Damn We Grown, That Geek Chick, Miss L, and the Two Shots in the Brew podcast crew. Radical Star Productions, J360 Productions. And Jeff from the Kung Fu Driving podcast as well. He's been a real supporter of ours, and he runs a really cool podcast, so you should definitely go and check that out. And big up to all the people on Twitter who follow us and retweet every time a new episode comes out. Thank you. In particular, I wanted to say a big thanks to Kale, who always gets involved in the question of the week. Thanks a lot for that. That really helps us. And a shout out to Rob as well from Emotionally 14, because he always gets involved, and we've had a little back and forth a couple of times this year, and he seems like a really cool dude. And of course, Rob is part of the pod scene as well. So I've got to say a big up to them, and a big thank you to them as well for including us in their collective this year. That's really, really helped us. So thank you to them. And also a thank you to our guests as well from this year, Nigel from Mayamada, who's appeared twice on the show this year. And each time he's come on has really, given a lot of knowledge and a lot of passion, and had so many interesting things to say about kind of the pop culture world. So he's definitely somebody worth keeping an eye on in the next year. A big thank you to Lulu Fredwood, aka Afro Cosplay as well. Thank you to her for coming on and sharing her experiences with us. She's been really popular with our listeners, and She's a top girl, so we're definitely going to have her back on the show next year. And finally to Maria Lewis as well, who, you know, made a lot of time for us, and we were lucky enough to sit down and interview her earlier in the year, and she was a fantastic guest and has been a fantastic supporter of us as well from the moment we started, pretty much. And you know, it's brilliant to have people like that invested, and people like that willing to give up their time for us. So thank you very much as well. So that's going to do it for us for part one. This is the end, sadly, but just for now, because we'll be back with part two very soon. And part two is going to be the worst of the year. And boy, there's going to be some stinkers, and I imagine it's going to get kind of heated. So you ain't going to want to miss that one. So make sure wherever you're listening to this that you subscribe. Listening to the end of the podcast as well, there'll be a little special audio section that will tell you how you can subscribe and how you can follow us. All right, we're going to say goodbye for now. So it's goodbye from me. Rich, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Alvin, say goodbye.
See you later.
All right, and we'll see you on the other side in part two, folks. Peace out and stay safe. Peace.